Today, I want to look at one of the things I often see men complaining about, hypergamy in women. That is, the practice of women trying to marry up to someone of higher social and/or economic status. The attitude of many men is that this is essentially just gold digging. I have a different view. I think it makes perfect sense for women to do this.
Women have 5 mating strategies, and one is we want a guy that's going to stay. So I meet you and I think, he's going to stick around for the kids. 2, a guy's going to stay and take care of the kids. And financially he's competent enough to. Money, good genes, so tall, good looking, legacy, so he's not going to embarrass the family, and something with social status. That's the 5th.
Is it sometimes abused? Of course. It would be hard to find any generally good thing that some people won't abuse. I believe if you were to go way back to prehistory, you'd find women trying to hook up with the best hunter or warrior they could. After all, they lived in a world where much of the food that was provided required a lot of physical work. Not all, but certainly more than in a modern society. Likewise, it wasn't like there was a police force to help protect the community. Any tribe pretty much had to protect itself. A woman wouldn't only want someone who can provide for her and protect her, but she is also thinking of her children. So, hypergamy made perfect sense.
Hypergamy isn't a bad thing. Like, why
hypergamy is designed for our survival.
Yeah,
why would
exactly I don't want to date a bum. Like, I hope to God you guys don't want to date bum.
It is really only in fairly recent times that a lot of this has become less necessary. Most people in the West don't need to go out hunting to feed their family. Anyone can lift a bag of groceries. Physical protection can always be a factor, but in most places is not going to be as critical as it used to be. Yet women still tend to date up. So what? I suspect even if it is less critical now, at least in some societies, it is essentially a genetic predisposition. I see men get all bent out of shape about that, yet the same guys may say men should date up when it comes to the attractiveness of a woman. Why the hypocrisy? We know men tend to be, at least initially, more focused on physical attractiveness, with women more focused on security. Seems to me that the women can make a better case for their preferences. After all, over time, a woman tends to lose a lot of her attractiveness. So, if that's all the man cares about, it doesn't speak well for their marriage in the future. But even just looking at hypergamy, it seems to me that men promote it too. Look at other trends. Men usually prefer to marry women who are younger. Conveniently, women tend to prefer to marry men who are older. But why? Well, there is this stuff about women maturing faster than men, but there seems to be a lot of confusion about when parity is reached. I've seen it said it happens as early as late adolescence or early 20s, all the way to when a man reaches his 30s or even 40s. With such wide variations, I'm not going to even try to decide which is right. But it might be said that the age difference sometimes just means the couple are of similar maturity ages when they marry. But maybe other things are involved. On average, men prefer to lead, at least compared to women. Being older than your spouse makes it more likely to put you in a more dominant position. You have to also consider that if women prefer someone older, it may be because that means the man is better able to provide economic security. But it may also mean that a lot of women are either okay with a man taking the lead, or they may actually prefer it, which favors marrying someone at least a little older. It does get a bit awkward in old age. Women live an average of 6 years longer. If the man is 2 years older than his wife, that's an 8-year gap. So, probably good for the elderly man having someone to care for him. Maybe not so good for a widow. Though women are probably better at forming other relationships, so maybe better than the reverse. Men typically marry women who are shorter than they are. Since women, on average, are shorter, that could just be the natural odds. But maybe some of it is also about men wanting to feel dominant and/or women wanting someone literally to look up to. In other words, a lot of this stuff may be perfectly natural for most men and women, a genetic predisposition, though there will always be exceptions.
But yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't think I've ever talked about the socioeconomic implications of dating up or down. We know that women always want to date up, and you should want to date up. Yeah. I've never said, oh, well, girls only want to date guys who make money. well, guys want to bang girls who are hot. It's literally the same thing.
Anyway, in my opinion, hypergamy is what it is, and there is nothing inherently wrong with it. There is, in fact, a lot that is good about it. So maybe men should stop whining about it as a concept and focus on those that abuse it. Much like maybe feminists shouldn't be complaining that men naturally want to take the lead and focus on those that go too far and want total control. I mean, I saw a girl talking about getting rich by marrying someone, divorcing them and taking a lot of money, then marrying someone even richer, etc. Her argument was that the more the girl had, the easier it was to move to even bigger targets. That, of course, is not acceptable. Likewise, I had a male relative who took the concept of the man being head of the household and chose to interpret it as whatever he said couldn't be questioned by his wife. Criticize those who behave badly, but not the basic premise of hypergamy.
Imagine you've got something like you imagine you're not a good-looking guy, but you got someone that's 10 out of 10. You see what I've realized? Some women don't even care if the guy's good-looking. They just care about the money.
Likewise with a man seeking out an attractive wife. Nothing wrong with that, but it can be abused too. For example, a man who marries someone to have a trophy wife that is more for showing off his imagined status rather than because he actually loves her. Somehow men don't seem concerned about that while complaining about hypergamy. I'm not getting into the large age gap issue yet, but I thought I would mention one aspect of it. When I see a really big age gap, I do wonder about whether both people are in it for the right reasons, but I have no way to know the answer to that. I am confident that in many cases, both people are happy with their relationship though. But there is one thing I do think about and wonder if the couples have thought it through. That is, suppose a 55-year-old marries a woman who is 25. In many cases, the man is very good looking. More like distinguished rather than just old. I've heard many women point out how it isn't fair that many men grow more distinguished while women just grow old. That's the term used by the women, not me. But even those distinguished looking men may not maintain that. At 55, they may look great. At 65, when the wife is 35, may be just okay. At 75, they may look just decrepit and need a lot of care. Yet the wife is only 45, looking at years of possibly caring for an invalid. Extend that age gap to 40 or more years, and it becomes an even greater problem. Likewise, maybe the man is only 40 and marries a 20-year-old. Smaller age gap, but maybe he isn't someone who looks distinguished for long. I know a lot of men who did well, and when they hit 40, they suddenly started having a lot more physical problems. By 50, they may not be much of a catch, yet the wife is only 30. That doesn't even count those men who are just ordinary looking, but for whatever reason, still attract a much younger woman. Yet in 10 years, they may look pretty bad. Just stuff to think about. Thanks for watching, and don't let the trolls stop you from speaking out.